Welcome to the second step in my Workspace Redesign series. In the first step, we learned how to set goals, and in this step, we will do an observation exercise. This matters because we need to understand how the physical substance of our space matches against our desired goals. What are the challenges, obstacles, and opportunities that await us? So how do we do that? To do that, we will use a SWOT analysis. A SWOT analysis is not something you hear about in architecture school, but in business school. However, I'm of the opinion that you can always borrow better ideas from other fields into your field. And the reason I like a SWOT analysis is because it helps you look very objectively at your space. Here's the worksheet I will use for this video. And if you want to try this exercise at home on one of your rooms, you can download it for free with the link in the description. So what does SWOT stand for? SWOT is an anagram that stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So for the rest of the video, we are going to look at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of our space in relationship to the goals we have set for ourselves. And by the way, if you're new here, I'm Anna. I'm a licensed architect based in Europe, and in this channel, I distill decades of architectural education and experience to help you design your home. Normally, you would start with looking at the strengths of the space, but actually I want to look at the weaknesses. So what are the weaknesses of my space? This room has essentially 4 big weaknesses. One of the biggest weaknesses of this space, and the reason why I finally decided to do this redesign, is the terrible reverberation of this room. The what? The reverberation. Recording videos in a tall, empty room is the worst place one could choose to record videos in. Maybe just a little bit behind recording in a cave or something. The amount of sound post-editing I have to do to make my videos sound mildly acceptable is kind of ridiculous. In fact, let me play you this clip one more time without any audio editing. The amount of sound post-editing I have to do to make my videos sound mildly acceptable is kind of ridiculous. That is how it typically sounds with no post-editing. Another disadvantage is that I have a lot of doors in this room, namely not just this set that goes to the corridor, but this set which leads to my bedroom, which creates this unnecessary circulation path between them, and therefore a lot of space is lost. The next weakness of this space is the lack of sockets. Don't get me wrong, there are a few, but not every corner has been addressed. Because of the circulation path between the 2 sets of doors, the corner between them gets severed from the rest of the room. Initially, I was thinking that my standing desk could be placed there, like a small phone booth between 2 doors, but without the socket, there will be a lot of cables running through the room, which I know will not look great. So that is definitely a problem. Another disadvantage of this room is the climate. You see, the room has 3 windows, all with wooden frames in the original style, and 2 massive sets of doors, one of which is glass, which means that it never gets very warm in here unless I want to rank up my energy bills to extreme heights. A lot of the heat escapes through the wooden doors and frames of the windows, which means that I might have to consider some design interventions to make this room more comfortable regarding its climate, so that spending time in here in winter is actually pleasant from a temperature standpoint. So these are some of the room's main weaknesses. Have a critical look at your room. What weaknesses do you see? Alright, now that we have finished criticizing, let's have a look at the strengths of this room. One of the strengths of the space is that it's pretty big. It's 4.5 by 4.8 meters, or 14.7 by 15.7 feet, which makes the surface area about 21.6 square meters, or 232.5 square feet. It's a fairly large room, which can encompass quite a few functions. A smaller room can also pack a lot of functions, but there you have to be very creative and add more custom-made items, which can increase the budget. A large room can pack a lot of functions using standard furniture, which can be more friendly to the budget. But really, it all depends on your final design and desired outcomes. Another advantage is that the tall ceiling, accompanied by the tall windows, allow the room to be filled with a lot of light, which I think is very supportive of creative work. Light and space are two critical elements to any creative room, and they are very hard to fabricate with any design tricks. So I'm happy that the fundamentals of a creative space are there. Another advantage of this room are the architectural details. I think these are the elements that make the room look and feel very special, even without furniture in it. The door style stems from the Baroque period, which was a period in Vienna of great economic flourishing. Most of the castles and imperial palaces have them, so the style spread to the merchants and less wealthy people who might have built the building I live in. This was the 18th and 19th century influencer marketing. If these days people watch celebrities and want to copy their fashion and style, back then people watched the imperial family and the other high-ranking aristocrats for the latest fashion and interior design trends, which they happily copied for many years after. Threats. The threats that I see are mostly regarding the spectrum of things I can do in this apartment and the degree I can customize my design. Because it's a rental, I have to consider not just the current room setup, but also how I might be able to take a piece of furniture and implement it somewhere else. I might choose pieces of furniture that have a higher degree of flexibility over custom design ones. I'm also limited in more permanent interventions like adding moldings. I have to discuss this with my landlord and get the advice of professionals in the industry, but I suspect it's not possible. Alright, last part, opportunities. The opportunity is that, although this is a rental, the spectrum of changes I am allowed to make is very wide. I can drill holes in the walls, so I can hang various things on the walls. I can add wallpaper or color to the walls. I can essentially make any changes I want, as long as I am able to reverse it and leave the place as I found it when I moved in. The other opportunity is that I'm not in a rush. This room already has the bare minimum for me to function in it. I have no client and no deadline on this project. Other than the room reverberation, there is no real pressure for me to do this in a set time frame. I can take as long as I need to and think through as many design ideas and details as I have to in order to make this happen, which is an ideal situation to have. No stress, just the pleasure of thinking about design. Alright, this is my SWOT analysis. What would be your room SWOT analysis? Let me know in the comments, and if you want to use the worksheet I have used throughout the video, you can download it for free with the link in the description. Now that we fully understand the opportunities and limitations of our space, in the next video I want to discuss how to measure the space and what information you should record when measuring so that you can make better decisions when planning your design. And yes, this is a playlist. The link of the playlist is in the description. I'll see you in the next video.